This was our second go-around, and I was going to be damned if there was going to be a third. I'll only play the same game so many times. DB had been engaging in the devaluation cycle and was making my life such hell that I just wanted to get out. I was already angry with myself for being hoovered back the first time. I also didn't understand that there was a reason for him wanting me out. He wanted to be with someone else, but he wanted to keep the house. Interestingly enough, he kept knowledge of this woman from me. DB loves triangulation. DB led me to believe that we were on the same page about getting a divorce, but what I would soon learn was that I was being set up to be hoovered. He went through the motions of pretending we were going to do a do-it-yourself divorce, but he quickly stopped trying. However, I continued to find an apartment and collect what I needed to furnish it. While I was getting ready to move out, there were a couple of red flags. One was that he told me, "Don't go spending a lot of money in case you come back." I kept my mouth shut. I was not going to ever come back. Once I was out, I was gone. The next red flag was when he asked me if he could go to my church. That chilled my shit. But church or no church, I was getting divorced. But I sensed that he was going to use the church to try to make me stay. And I ended up being right. So he started going to my church, and I left it to him. I was happy in my apartment. I got all the boxes unpacked right away, and it was well furnished with help from both of my parents. It was clean and it was peaceful. There was no dealing with someone who always wanted to fight, and I got to be me. It was everything I had hoped for. I didn't miss him at all. I started the divorce proceedings through a paralegal where I gave him the house. I kept the car that still had payments, and we split child custody. It was as fair as I could possibly be. In fact, looking back, it was too fair. I should have taken what was mine. Within a week's time, I learned that he had moved in a female co-worker. I wasn't even jealous, but instead felt relief. Good, he had moved on. That's how done I was. I had no ill will. I just wanted to dust myself off and rebuild my life. But wouldn't you know that the hoovering started a couple of months after that, and it snowballed from there. It started off with some friendly letters, which were uncharacteristic for him. I have to do a small segue. From his writing, I learned that he's not smarter than me. When he put his thoughts on paper, I learned what a mess he really is. Not to mention that he had many opportunities to not send these letters, and he did it anyway. So back to the subject. The letters started off friendly, but the longer I resisted the hoover, the more irritable and sullen they became. For a while, they would go back and forth. A nice letter, then a nasty one. Eventually, they all became nasty. Then there were the phone calls. He would call me just to argue. I remember one particular evening, I had bought myself a crab and a bottle of wine, and was sitting down to watch a movie with dinner, and the phone rang. What was supposed to be a relaxing evening with a great meal turned out to feeling guilty and angry. Cell phones weren't a thing then. Everyone had landlines. I had to install an answering machine to screen my calls. He lost his job and tried to make me feel responsible for his survival. I was even dumb enough to buy groceries for him for a time until he pulled a stunt that made me tell him to sink or swim. After that, he started sending notes with the kids, and he started engaging in parental alienation. I remember one time my kids coming back from his house, and they were angry with me all day. They were 4. They were so hateful that I said, "What is with you?" And the girl said, "You're mean to our daddy." And the boy said, "Yeah," and they both ran to their room and slammed the door. This was the first time that I ever called him and told him that I would take him to court if he didn't knock it off. Another segue. Not only should I have followed up on this, I should have gotten both kids into counseling. The boy ended up being DB's scapegoat, while the girl ended up being the golden child. She still takes DB's side to this day. Needless to say, we don't have a relationship. Then came the smear campaign. He systematically went to each member of my family and told them that I was committing adultery. I was. Told them that I had been a drug addict and he rescued me, and made me out to be a booger-eating moron. What really sucked about it is that my sister was visiting from across the country at the time. She is the only one I fully exonerate from questioning me about what he said. I have some bitterness toward anyone else who was inclined to believe him even for a minute. Then there was the setups. He set me up to make me look mean in front of the kids. He set me up to pick up the kids from people who would counsel me in the error of my ways. At this point, I didn't care how I looked to people. Well, I did care, but I didn't budge. Everyone who tried to interfere got a piece of my mind. I remarried in about a year, and his words immediately afterward were an angry, "I waited for you for a year." Narcissists don't like it when they have to take their own medicine. All I had wanted to do was just live my life, but the narcissist wouldn't allow it. Initially, he thought he was discarding me, but didn't like it when I wasn't waiting for him to come back to me. So instead of moving on like a mature adult, he went into revenge mode. I had started off wanting to be two parents who got along apart, but instead ended up fighting for my life. Even though he started the process of a breakup, our divorce turned out to be my fault in his mind. It didn't matter how much I gave, he wanted more. It didn't matter that he started a new relationship, I couldn't have one. The whole time we were married, I was told to get out of his life, and I made his life suck. I contributed nothing. Now he couldn't live without me. There was no winning. There was no walking away intact. It was war with him, and it was war away from him. All I came away with was a profound relief that he's someone else's problem now. And I learned more about this person than I ever knew being married to him for 6 years. I learned that there was nothing to love there, and any pity or empathy was wasted on him. There was nothing there to respect. Either way, I was going to be destroyed. If I stayed with him, he was going to destroy me. If I left, he was going to destroy me. All of the setting up that he engaged in makes me think that he thinks he's a great puppeteer, but in reality he's a great moron. Only a complete idiot would destroy his life to try to destroy someone else's. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some value from this video. What was your experience in a narcissistic breakup? Please share in the comments. Have a great day.